Hey everyone, welcome back. Timothy Long Blacksmithing again. This time, I'm going to be talking about superalloys. So let's just get into it. First off, what even is a superalloy? A superalloy is essentially a high-strength intermetallic alloy that can stand up to high temperatures and operate pretty much normally. As such, it also generally tends to boast a nice corrosion resistance at high temperatures, and it doesn't tend to oxidize at those high temperatures. So naturally, one can see why a superalloy would be very useful. There are several applications for superalloys within our modern world. Those uses generally are in things like turbines, engines, load-bearing structures, and other things that require high strength under loads of pressure. But depending on the application and the circumstances by which these alloys are being used, you're going to find several different compositions for these alloys. There is no one superalloy that works for every single application. Despite this though, in the limited research I've done on the subject, I've found that nickel superalloys are generally the most common. In fact, one such nickel alloy is Inconel, and it's pretty common. I've seen people on this platform use it to make a few things. I saw one guy make a knife out of it and another guy make some rings out of it. It's actually a pretty cool material in my opinion. And there are several different variations of Inconel. Inconel is actually the name associated with a company's specific brand of nickel alloys. That company being Special Metals? Yes, Special Metals Corporation. Kind of a generic name if you ask me. Another example is Waspalloy. And this one belongs to, United Technologies Corporation. Waspalloy is also used in aviation applications as well as turbine type stuff as well. So it just goes to show that several different companies make several different superalloys that are generally used for the same thing. That aside though, let's focus on the resistance to oxidation that superalloys are generally associated with. Generally speaking, superalloys are resistant to oxidation at high temperatures. Now, if these alloys were not resistant to oxidation, there would be several things getting in the way of their usefulness. For instance, one might develop a spalling oxide layer, which would not be good because, let's say, for instance, you've got some really low tolerance pieces that you're working with, and some oxidation starts spalling off of that. That means it's going to lose its size over time, which isn't going to be very good because of the tolerances involved. It's going to break down really quickly. Also, such erosion generally just isn't a good thing to begin with because whatever piece it is just going to slowly disappear, and, well, you really just don't want that, no matter what. Now, how do these metallurgists get around this stuff? Well, by making stuff that actually reacts really, really well with oxygen. And that seems a little bit counterintuitive, but it's kind of the same reason why aluminum doesn't leave a rust ring on your finger if you have a ring that's made out of aluminum that you're wearing. Aluminum forms a very, very thin oxide layer on it, which prevents further corrosion of the aluminum. So effectively, aluminum kind of pacifies itself because it's so reactive. So with these superalloys, generally they'll alloy something in that's very reactive, that'll provide that thin coating to prevent any further corrosion or oxidation. And generally this is something that'll stick to it so it doesn't spall off. For instance, like iron oxide tends to spall off, but aluminum oxide doesn't generally. I mean, I don't think we've seen any real examples of that happening, at least not in pure aluminum. And chromium is another example of this. I mean, chromium is one of the more famous components of stainless steel. They have chromium in there to protect from corrosion and rusting, so you get this nice beautiful knife even though, say, it's technically got a very reactive element in it. Now, naturally, I can't talk about superalloys without getting into the crystalline structure of superalloys, but I'm gonna do that anyway because, well, crystalline structure is a little bit above my head, even though I'm in blacksmithing, and I should really study that so I'd actually know what I'm talking about and doing whenever I'm heat treating. But suffice to say, most of the stuff I work with is iron, and it's pretty predictable, common knowledge type stuff when it comes to that. If I do plan on working with superalloys, I'll study more into that. But for now, because it's a little bit out of my price range, I haven't really had the opportunity to work with superalloys. So I haven't really had the need to study too much into the crystalline structure. What I will say on the matter, though, is that the intermetallic sort of thing that goes on with superalloys does factor into it, and it's specifically designed for the purposes by which the superalloy is going to be used. In fact, some superalloys, whenever they're casting something or making something, they want to make it monocrystalline, which means one single crystal, which would be kind of wild in blacksmithing with just regular iron, but, you know, pretty cool stuff, right? Well, that's pretty much all I've got to say about superalloys, so with that, thank you guys for joining me. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, leave a like, leave some comments for suggestions for future videos. I've got a few ideas right now in the pipeline, but I definitely wouldn't say no to more ideas. So if you guys have any ideas, do leave those in the comments. With that, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day.